Hello, my name is Dave Seeley. I'm the Executive Director of RochesterWorks. We have a charge from the state of New York, a worthwhile charge to use workforce solutions to provide a path forward for communities impacted by gun violence. A job is powerful because it provides the spark that drives the engine of economic opportunity. It is a real solution, one that takes a lot of work. That is why we have reached out to the community with this request for qualifications. We want our workforce efforts surrounding gun violence prevention to be a collaborative approach that reaches into the communities that we serve. Thank you for your interest in this exciting opportunity. Next, Antoine Williams, our Director of Youth System Services, will discuss the qualifications and the application process. Thank you.
Our topics for this discussion include the background for this initiative, who are the eligible applicants, the scope of services, including navigators versus qualified community service providers, the application process, and finally, the resources available and the application timeline. What is it that we are trying to accomplish with this initiative? We are looking for partners to recruit, serve, and employ young adults living in the 9 zip codes that have been heavily impacted by gun violence. Individuals between the ages of 18 and 24 who are out of school and living in the 9 target zip codes are eligible for this program service. New York State Department of Labor, through Monroe County, RochesterWorks Development Board, is providing funding to provide training, credentials, and job placement services to 675 young adults. The twofold mission of this initiative is to expand the capacity of our current Youth Navigator system and to build a network of smaller community-based and faith-based organizations to reach directly into the communities impacted by gun violence, providing outreach and program services. On the community-based, faith-based organization side, if you are a 501c3, not-for-profit, or a unit of local government, you are eligible to apply for this initiative. In partnership with one or more confirmed employment and training partners, provided that you operate in one or more of the 9 target zip codes. Now, on the Navigator program side, our current Youth Navigator system consists of 6 agencies: Center for Youth, BOCES 2, Urban League, Refugees Helping Refugees, Starbridge, and Community Place, who employ 19 navigators. Currently, selected navigators agencies are eligible to apply to expand their program by adding one or more navigator staff. However, navigator agencies are not eligible to apply as a qualified community service provider. Because there are 2 eligible applicant types, we are going to discuss the scope of services for the navigator agencies first. Then, we will discuss the scope of services for the community service providers. Out of the $2.25 million available under this initiative, $600,000 has been set aside for the Youth Navigator system expansion. We are looking to bring on an additional 10 navigator staff. Agencies will be awarded up to $60,000 per navigator. Each navigator will recruit and serve a cohort of 27 youth. Navigators will provide the same services that are provided to WIOA enrolled youth. Co-enrollment in the WIOA program is optional. $25,000 have been set aside for on-the-job training grants for youth participants served by navigator agencies. These limited dollars are available on a first-come, first-served basis. Navigator agencies may also budget for supportive services within their navigator budget. These services may be provided to youth participants whether or not you co-enroll them in the WIOA program. ITA training and paid work experience are not available to navigator agencies from our gun violence prevention budget. If you need to access these services for an individual participant, that is where it would be beneficial to co-enroll the participant in the WIOA program. Once co-enrolled, you may leverage WIOA ITA training and work experience dollars for your participant. You may also leverage the transportation supportive services and incentive payments available through WIOA. Navigator agencies. This is the same budget that you submit under the WIOA RFP process. One major difference is that we are able to allow up to 10% admin costs. Another difference is the supportive services line. There are a number of supportive services costs now allowable under WIOA that are allowable under this grant. These costs include technology assistance, including computer equipment, with a unit cost less than $1,000. There is a list of allowable supportive services costs in the Comprehensive Gun Violence Prevention Program policies. That document is available on our website, RochesterWorks.org. Go to Connect, Request for Proposals, then look under Active RFPs. Remember, all costs must be necessary to assist the youth to participate in program services and or obtain and retain employment. Now let's discuss the scope of services for our community service providers. Eligible community service providers may apply for this opportunity in cooperation with one or more confirmed employment and training partners. You may apply to provide outreach and recruitment, program services, or both. As you engage with employment and training partners, we strongly encourage you to obtain letters of commitment from your partners. If not, we will have to reach out to your partners to confirm their commitment before approving your application. Here are some examples of employment partners: labor organizations, industry associations, other associations representing private businesses, local chamber of commerce, registered apprenticeship sponsor organizations, individual employers, and units of local government. Training partners may include higher education, Year 2 and Year 4 colleges, local school districts, BOCES, and proprietary training providers certified or licensed by New York State Department of Education. Now let's talk about the dollars available to qualified community service providers. If you are looking to do outreach and recruitment only, you are responsible for recruiting, conducting an objective assessment, and developing an individual service strategy for an individual. You will then refer the youth to a partner for program services. If the youth completes 1 week of program services, you will qualify for a $500 milestone payment. If you will be providing program services, you will develop a program service plan for eligible participants. This plan will include training, job search assistance, case management, and wraparound supportive services. If a youth participant completes 4 full weeks of workforce preparation services with you, then you will qualify for a $1,000 milestone payment. If the youth is placed in and retained in subsidized or unsubsidized employment for 1 month, then you will qualify for a $2,000 milestone payment. All milestone payments are achieved separately and may be cumulative. In addition to milestone payments, we have set aside $720,000 in additional funds to cover the cost of supportive services, stipends, paid work experiences, classroom training, and on-the-job training funds for youth served by our community service providers. RochesterWorks will provide these funds for youth participants when requested by our community service providers. Let's discuss some specific categories of supportive services that may be provided under this grant. Transportation supportive services can include bus passes, gas cards, and fares for ride-sharing services when needed to participate in program services. You may purchase these services yourself and receive reimbursement from this grant. Or RochesterWorks may purchase a supply of bus passes and gas cards to issue to you as requested. Child and dependent care can be costly. service providers should make every effort to coordinate with other programs or funding services to cover these costs. If there are no outside resources available to cover the need, then program-supported services may be used. There is a cap of $2,000 for child care and dependent care supported services for any participant. A third category of supportive services is technology supported services to address the digital divide. Mobile phones and computer devices may be provided within the grant policy guidelines. Some other allowable supportive services include, but are not limited to, interview or work clothing, hygiene kits, housing assistance, healthcare costs, legal services, and emergency needs. If you are a qualified community service provider, how do you get paid? As a community service provider, you could provide outreach services only, program services only, or both outreach and program services. Let's consider 3 different scenarios that give examples of how the milestone payments might work. Scenario 1 describes an organization providing outreach services only. You, the community service provider, reach out to 250 potentially eligible youth. 125 of them show enough interest that you are able to conduct an objective assessment for them. You refer 100 of them out for program services because they are ready and likely to benefit from those programs. 81 of those youth complete 1 full week of workforce preparation services. Your milestone payments would be 81 youth times 500 for a total of $40,500. Scenario 2 describes organization providing program services only. You, the community service provider, receive referrals from the outreach provider described in the previous scenario. 25 of them complete 1 full week of workforce preparation services. 22 of them achieve a milestone by completing 3 more weeks of program services for a total of 4 weeks of services. You place 17 youth. They are retained in subsidized or unsubsidized employment for 1 month. That is another milestone. You receive 1 set of milestone payments in the amount of 22 participants completing 4 weeks times 1,000 for a total of 22,000. You received another set of milestone payments in the amount of 17 youth placed and retained in employment times 2,000 for a total of 34,000. You do not receive any milestone payment for outreach. Those payments go to the provider who referred your participants to you. Your grand total for milestone payments received is $56,000. Scenario 3 describes a larger program including both outreach and program services. You, the community service provider, reach out to 230 potentially eligible youth. 115 of them show enough interest that you are able to conduct an objective assessment for them. You enroll 92 of them in your program services because they are ready and likely to benefit from those services. Note, if, after an assessment, you determine that a youth that you recruited would not benefit from your program, but might benefit from another program funded under this initiative, do refer them out to another program. If they participate in 1 week of program services, you will receive the $500 milestone payment for them. Back to our example. Of the 92 that you enrolled, 75 of them complete 1 full week of workforce preparation services. That is milestone 1. 66 of them complete 4 weeks of program services. That is milestone 2. And 51 youth are placed and retained in subsidized or unsubsidized employment for 1 month. That is milestone 3. For milestone 1, you receive for the 75 youth who completed 1 week of services. 75 times 500 equals $75,500. For milestone 2, you receive for the 66 youth who completed 4 weeks of services, 66 times 1,000 equals 66,000. And for milestone 3, you receive for the 51 youth placed and retained in employment, 51 times 2,000 equals 102,000. Your grand total for milestone payment received is 205,500. When submitting your application, how much should you request? First, Navigator agencies, you may request up to $60,000 per Navigator added. Keep in mind that on-the-job training grants and any training, paid work experience, supportive services, or incentive dollars that you plan to leverage through WIOA co-enrollment are outside this budget. You do not need to include them on your budget form. Next, community service providers. Your total request depends on whether you are applying to provide outreach only, program services only, or both. If you are providing outreach only, here's how you calculate the amount you will use for the total funds requested line, the bottom line, on your budget form. Take the number of participants that you propose to refer to another program and who will complete 1 full week of program services. Multiply that number by 500. That is your total request. And remember that you will need to over-recruit to reach your 1 week participation goal. If you are providing program services only, take the number of participants that you expect to complete 1 full week of program services. Multiply that number by 1,950. That is your total request. Why 1,950? We have calculated that amount as the average milestone payment that you will use or receive per participant who makes it to the 1 week point, based on certain assumptions about retention percentages in program services and employment. Now, if you are providing both outreach and program services, take the number of participants that you propose to recruit and who will complete 1 full week of program services. Multiply that number by 2,450. That is your number to request. Note that we arrived at 2,450 figure by adding the 500 for outreach only to the 1,950 for program only. Community service providers. We just explained how to calculate the amount used for the total funds requested line, the bottom line, on your budget form. You will then break that amount down into various line item costs to you to operate this program. You are using this budget form to ensure that you have carefully considered all costs associated with your service plan. You will not be held to specific line items. However, administrative costs, including fiscal, legal, and HR management costs, are limited to 10% of your expenses. To determine whether a particular cost is allowable under this program, ask yourself these 2 questions. Is the expense necessary to achieve the objectives of the grant? In other words, will it help recruit, enroll, prepare, train, place, and/or retain the eligible program participant in employment? 2, is it reasonable? In other words, would a prudent person in the same situation spend these dollars on this expense? Also, could a similar product or service be obtained at a significantly lower price? You will want to follow your organization's procurement policy on this matter. Here's the application process. We began accepting applications on October 7th. Applications will be accepted on a rolling basis through December 30th, 2021. That gives you plenty of time to secure commitments from your employment and training partners. Keep in mind, RochesterWorks will be reviewing applications as we receive them. The sooner you submit your application, the more time you will have to provide services before the end of the program services period, currently July 31st, 2022. Here are some tips for applicants. We're looking at the quality of your proposed partnerships. Also, we're looking at innovative strategies to serve a population that has been hard to serve and engage through traditional programs. Applications must be submitted by email to ccampbell@rochesterworks.org. Please be sure to use our forms provided for you on our website, RochesterWorks.org. Go to Connect, Request for Proposals, then look under Active RFPs. The period for questions have already ended, and to ensure a fair process, we cannot answer any applicant questions after October 12th. However, your question has likely already been answered in the question and answer section of this video, in the question and answer document on our website, or in the Comprehensive Gun Violence Prevention Program policies on our website. If you cannot find the answer to your question, we encourage you to submit the best application that you can given what you know about this program. If your understanding of any of the program elements is incorrect, you will have an opportunity to dialogue with one of the staff during the application review process. How will applications be evaluated? When describing your service plan, be sure to paint a complete picture, including as many details as possible. Help us visualize a youth participant's journey through your program from beginning to end. And the details should include numbers of participants, numbers of services provided by type and cost, and service locations. RochesterWorks staff will reach out to you or your partners during the application review process to obtain additional details that will help us make a decision. We will let you know if your application has been approved and to negotiate your contract or service plan. Our goal throughout this process is to be as inclusive as possible. Be sure to check out the questions and answer document on our website, RochesterWorks.org. Go to Connect, Request for Proposals, and look under Active RFPs. And thank you for watching the Gun Violence Prevention Local Initiative slideshow.